Hi everybody, I'm going to prepare a big beautiful pot of homemade vegetable beef soup. Now this soup is beefy, it's loaded with flavor, and it's got lots of your favorite vegetables in it, and it's super easy to prepare. And today I'm going to show you how to make it step by step. Let's get started. Now before we get started with our soup, I'm going to put all my seasoning together in this small bowl. I have 2 teaspoons of dried basil. I'm going to put it in here. 1.5 teaspoons of dried thyme. 1 1/4 teaspoons of oregano. 1 teaspoon of crushed rosemary. 2 teaspoons of sugar. And 1 tablespoon of beef bouillon. And I'm going to mix it in together like this. I think it's easy when you get all your seasoning together like this. See, you won't forget anything and leave anything behind. Now I'm going to set it aside and get ready for our next step. So this is the meat that I'm going to be using. I have 1.5 pounds of chuck roast right here. And I've cut it up into bite-sized pieces. It's easier to eat that way. Now you can use any kind of meat that you like. But I like this kind of meat because it's so tender and just falling apart at the end when you're done. Okay? So I'm going to salt it and just salt it well. And I'm going to add some pepper. And that's good. Now I've got some flour here. I'm going to dust it with flour really good. This is going to be our thickener, and it's also going to give it a delicious flavor. Now you want to make sure that you coat it really well like this. So now that I have it well coated, I'm going to clean up and then head to the stove. So I'm going to be using this Dutch oven right here. Now you want to use a nice big heavy pot. It always works better like that. And I've got 2 tablespoons of olive oil in here, see? And they're nice and hot. I have my heat set on medium high. Now I'm going to be putting my beef in here in batches because you don't want to clump them up. And we're going to sear it really well. If you get your chunks of meat real close together, they'll start to steam. And you don't want them to steam. You want to get a very nice sear on them. So you want to give them space like this. Now I'm going to let them sear on this side for about 3 minutes or so until they get nice and golden before I flip them over to the other side. You hear that? That's what's giving us a beautiful sear, and that's where the flavor's at with this type of soup. So I've got all my beef nice and seared. Look at that. See? And look at the bottom of the pot. That is just going to be so delicious in our soup. So now that I have my meat ready, we can move on to our next step. I'm going to add a little bit more of the olive oil. It's about a tablespoon. And I'm going to add my onions. I'm going to move them around for about 1 minute. You know that I always like to add the onions first. Because you hear that sizzle? They're releasing their flavor in there. I don't want them to steam. My onions are slightly translucent. Now I'm going to add my celery. And I'm going to add my carrots. I'm going to be moving them around like this for about 3 minutes. And my veggies are nice and ready. Now I'm going to add my garlic. I have 4 large garlic cloves. And I'm going to add my tomato paste. I have half a can of tomato paste. That's 3 ounces. And I'm going to move them around like this so they can release their flavor in here. Now this tomato paste is going to give our vegetable beef soup a delicious flavor because this tomato paste is so rich. It just gives it good color and delicious flavor in here. I'm going to add 2 cans of small, petite diced tomatoes in here. Here's one, and here's the other one. I'm going to add my seasoning. 2 bay leaves. And 3 teaspoons of lemon juice. Now I'm gonna add my beef broth. I've got 7 cups. And now I'm gonna add all my beef in here with the juices and all. This is gonna be delicious. So now I'm gonna replace my lid and I'm gonna let it come up to a boil. As soon as it comes up to a boil, I'm gonna lower the temperature to low and I'm gonna let it cook for 1 hour. So my hour is almost up and I'm ready to put in my potatoes and my green beans. Now I'm gonna be using red potatoes and I have them cut up in 1/2-inch cubes. See? Now you don't wanna use very big pieces because they'll take longer to cook. You can use gold potatoes. You can use russet potatoes too. Now the russet potatoes are very starchy, so they can fall apart and then you've got a thicker soup. That's why I like the red ones, but you can use whichever ones you like. And the green beans, these are fresh green beans. I just removed the tips on both sides and then I cut them up into 3. See? About this size. But you can use any vegetable that you like if you don't want to use green beans. Now we've got to add these at about the 1 hour point, because if I were to add this in the very beginning with the meat, then this would be very mushy and you don't want anything mushy. So this would be about the right time to put them in. So I'm going to add my potatoes. And the green beans. I'm going to add some salt here. And I think that's good. I'm going to replace my lid. And I'm going to let it continue cooking at a low boil for 30 minutes. So it's been exactly 30 minutes. I'm going to remove the lid. Oh, look at this. See? Now it's time for our final ingredient. Our peas. Now these are frozen and I have 1 cup. And now I'm going to add my corn. I have 1 3/4 cup. Now you always want to leave these till the very end because these don't take that long. So I'm going to replace my lid and I'm going to let it continue cooking at a low boil for 15 minutes. Our beef vegetable soup is ready. Now I've got some crusty bread over here. You can use any type of bread that you want. Now it's time for the taste test. This is absolutely delicious. The meat is just falling apart tender. Now, if you feel that you want to let it cook a little bit longer, because the Dutch ovens can really hold the heat inside, but it just depends on what kind of pot you're using. But if you want to let it cook for another 5 minutes or 10, it'll be perfectly fine. So this is my delicious vegetable beef soup. If you like my video, give me a thumbs up, send me a comment and tell me what you think. Thank you.